Well, this is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, inviting you to learn along with me some really, what I think is some very interesting things to me. If you want to understand what Jewish astrology is about, it's in this book. And he's saying some absolutely fantastic things. Now, here we're coming into a really fundamental concept in Kabbalah. He's translated into astrology. It's the same thing, depending on how you look at it. So here he's going to go into, let's look at the very top of this list. Imagine what I said once previously. Imagine that behind all of this circle is the light of God, which is really the light of nothingness. So just visually imagine that you're talking about this white here. It has no form. It's just a color with nothing in it. But on top of this light come these different bars. Okay, those are basically what they are. It's a combination of different kinds of, mostly bars. And then as they move, they also move, but this is also moving. It's moving in this direction, like that. Okay, so as it's moving, then we have to see that the light which is surrounding it is shining into different places, because as it moves, here's the next place it's going to be. It's going to be over here. It's going to move. That's where the light is going to be. This is going to be here, and this is going to move this direction. So we're going to see some changes as the light is refracted from a moving object. And of course, that movement is in our world. That's the world of Asiya, the world of action, the world of wheels. And there's an ultimate wheel within all others. The earth turns, right? We drive on cars with wheels. Everything has to do with the wheel and the rotation. And this is also the rotation of our lives. And we talked last time about the fact that Avram Avinu had so many admirers during his lifetime because he understood the concept of the wheels, but later he realized that there had to be a master to this. This is what we're trying to grasp. So this master is this projected by this name. Beyond this master is where we see infinity and total oneness. So here this is going to be shining down this path. So we're going to talk about this, and that's going to be the lecture that we're going to start getting into now, is how this light is transformed, how it's made. So we need to get a little bit, and this is a little bit harder for me or for anybody to understand the concepts that we're going to be dealing with here. So here they come. So he writes like this: tonight we are going to concentrate on the fifth level. Now the fifth level is what I was just showing you, is where we find the names of God. So this is the fifth level of Adam's chart, the chart of Adam HaRishon, the essential name of God, which is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, as we saw. We are going to find the source in the Torah for these 12 permutations. Now, let's just go over it again real quickly, looking at our drawing. And I can bring this down a little bit without getting into too much trouble. I think the wires are a little loose here. So he says like this. He says, look, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, right? And as the wheel is turning, now the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, or this wheel is still here, but it's turning. So as it's turning, it comes to the next name, which is a permutation of the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. The next month, it's a different permutation. What does he mean by permutation? In other words, the letters are rearranged. And then we have the next month, which is another rearrangement. But this one starts with the letter Hey. And then we have two more Heys followed by that. Then the next month, let's see, can I get it in here? Or am I, it's not so easy for me. It's a big book. The next month begins with a Vav. So you have three Vavs. And then the last month begins, let me see if I can get it in here. I don't know. Begins with, well, I get it this way. Here we go. Can't get it one way, get another one. With the letter Hey. So the last one, here's the Vavs, and then it starts Hey, three combinations of Hey. Now, how does this work? That makes 12. So we got the idea of the 12 tribes, but we don't know too much detail about this. So now we're going to find out. We're going to find the sources of the Torah in the Torah for these 12 permutations. First, we must include this basic and profound principle in our astrology. which is that all the energies are coming down from this very first name. Each month of the year has its own different energy, which flows down to us in a quality represented by the rearrangement of this four-letter name of Hashem. How his name is arranged, let me see if I think that I got to move this closer. Back a little bit. So he says, we're down here at the bottom here. So he says, how his name is arranged in each month determines the primal energy which flows down, impacting on the fourth level and then all the other levels in the zodiac. Now, this is what I was trying to explain, because as we understand and as the Re understands this, is that the Hashem shines in two different ways at us. He shines one from the inside of everything, that he is actually, everything is built around him, so he's the core of reality. Beyond our real understanding, but the core of reality, but not only that, but Hashem forms the background for everything as well. He's outside of all reality, and therefore that light of his, of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, shines down to us from the outside in. So it's on the inside of us, and it's manifesting an outside, and on the outside it's shining onto us. I am going to introduce the concept of permutations through the book of Sefer HaYetzirah. This is what Rabbi Yaakov is saying. He said, not going to be so easy. So for those of you who are good at mathematics, or maybe take a math course here and there, but we'll try to make it simple enough because he has. Our patriarch Abraham wrote this book, and it only contains a couple of pages. He said that previously. So every word counts, and yet he devoted about 10 lines of the book to explaining these permutations. So you have to understand that there is something very important about permutations, and it is a very deep thing. Let's try to find our way here to it, to be connected to. The great scholar and Kabbalist was Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. He was the author of the Zohar and lived about 2,000 years ago. He wrote a book about permutations called Tikkuni HaZohar, which was based on the first word in the Torah, which is the word Bereshit, which would be translated as in the beginning. Now the word Bereshit has 6 letters in Hebrew, and we will see that these 6 letters can be permuted 720 different ways. So 6 letters can be made into 720 combinations. And in those 720 permutations, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai explains 70 in his book. Now, this book, we should be learning it now. We're learning a little bit about, actually we haven't started into this. This is also something for the month of Elul. These 70 permutations are the 70 panim, the faces of the Torah. So in other words, this is where we see how the face of the Torah shines to us. So let's just think about another idea. Let me just show you something else. When he says the faces of the Torah, right? So the point of the Torah, which is shining at us, is called the face of the Torah. The light is behind it, or let's say in some way generates it, and this screens the light. But each one of the letters also has a backside to it. But a side that doesn't. These are like, imagine this as being a 3D vav. And behind that vav is actually the other half of the vav. The vav has a front half and a back half. Now, just want to bring that in because of these ideas, because he said that the face shines. So he said, which would be through these 720 permutations. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai explained the 70 in his book. He explains 70 of these permutations. Let me bring them back here so that we can see this. Now, here's what you have to realize. There was a different world. We live in the United States of America right now, where we have the freedom to be able to read these books, Baruch Hashem. and we can read them on the internet. All these things. Rabbi Rabbeinu lived in a different world, a world without electricity. The stars there were lit up for him every night. He understood that, and he lived in a world of spirituality that we don't understand. We try. So here he is, working the Sefer Yetzirah, which is a mathematical concept of permutations. These 70 permutations are the 70 panim, the faces of the Torah. So we need to understand that all the great Kabbalists emphasize the use of permutations. Now, permutations and repetitions are really the basis of much of the Kabbalah, none of which I really are an expert in. So I'm trying. Another aspect, or an example, is the Kabbalist and expert mediary, Rabbi Abulafia. Now, this school of the Abulafias, who used letter permutations extensively in his practice and teaching. So here's a person and his school of teaching, which took place in northern Italy. So the attachment of Kabbalah in Italy is very strong as well. He says this person, Abulafia, used to use permutations in meditations. And over there it's rumored that they also created golems, maybe healed people. I have no idea what they did. I've read these extensively on what the techniques that they used. But let's find out from Reb Yaakov. Also, the book Sulam Aliyah, which is the one that I learned with Reb Yaakov Kronenberg, written by his pupil, the great Kabbalist to live in Israel in the 1200s, Rabbi Yehuda Al-Botini, which deals with how the soul can leave the body and get up to higher levels of consciousness using the power of permutations of God's names. The book warns the reader that one should only do these permutations together with someone else to ensure that the partner gets you back down fully into your body consciousness after the meditations. Now, these meditations are deep and take time, and they did this. So this is a serious and powerful spiritual tool. So let us know, let us learn how it works, and see how to use it in astrology, where each month is ruled by a different set of permutations of God's name. This is Baruch Fleischman, and this is the Tikkun Elevator Kolo, and we're getting deeper into this book, written by the great Yaakov Kronenberg, master astrologer, master Jewish astrologer.